The rain fell in slow, heavy drops, each one echoing against the glass walls of the high-rise apartment. New York's skyline shimmered in the distance, cold, metallic, almost lifeless. And maybe that's why Nathan Cole loved it so much. The city didn't pretend to care. It just existed, relentless, brutal, honest in its indifference. Nathan was 46, a senior systems architect at Veritas Corp, one of the world's leading AI research companies. To most, he was the definition of success: sharp suits, a penthouse view, a calm voice that carried authority in every boardroom. But behind that, there was the exhaustion of a man who'd spent his life building systems that understood people better than he ever could. His wife, Emily, had once called him the man who speaks to machines because people speak too loud. She'd said it with a laugh back then, before the silences grew, before the dinners became texts saying working late. That night, Nathan came home early for the first time in months. He had a bottle of wine, a simple gesture, an attempt at something normal. But as soon as he stepped inside, the air felt wrong, too quiet, too still. He noticed it first on the table, her phone unlocked, a single message glowing on the screen. Delete the feed. He's starting to ask questions. He froze. The room tilted. His heart, his very human heart, pounded so hard it hurt. For a long moment, he just stood there, staring at the message. Then, with shaking hands, he opened the rest. Hundreds of texts, codes, files, links to Veritas internal systems. And a name that made his stomach twist: Dr. Marcus Hale. Marcus, his best friend, his research partner. Emily wasn't just having an affair. She was leaking information. The woman he loved, the one who'd once told him his mind was a beautiful mess, had sold his work, their work, to his rival. Nathan stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the rug. His vision blurred as rage, disbelief, and heartbreak fused into something cold, something sharp. He heard her voice behind him. "Nat, you're home early." He turned. She stood in the doorway, her smile faltering the second she saw his face. He didn't yell, didn't speak. He just stared, a man realizing the foundation of his life was a lie. "Who is Hale?" he asked quietly. Emily's lips parted, but no words came. Nathan's eyes drifted to the folder on the table, marked Project Helios, a classified prototype, something that shouldn't exist outside the lab. And in that instant, he understood. This wasn't just betrayal. It was something far darker. That night, Nathan sat in his office, staring at lines of encrypted data. He decrypted her files one by one, his fingers trembling as the truth unfolded. Emily had been part of Project Helios all along. Not a spy, not an outsider. She was part of the test. Veritas had been experimenting with human AI memory integration, the ability to upload consciousness. Nathan had helped design it, but he'd never agreed to human trials. Emily wasn't Emily anymore. At least, not completely. She was an interface, a hybrid prototype, and she had been watching him, studying him for months. Nathan closed his eyes. The room spun. Every moment, every kiss, every late-night conversation. Was it all real? Or was it programmed? Outside, lightning split the night sky. Inside, Nathan Cole made a silent vow. If Veritas thought they could turn his heart into code, if they thought they could erase what it means to be human, they were wrong. He'd burned their world to the ground. Sleep never came that night. Nathan sat on the floor of his office, surrounded by printouts, data chips, and fragments of code. The rain had stopped hours ago, but its rhythm still echoed in his head like a pulse. Every decrypted file revealed another layer of the same nightmare. Emily's memories weren't real, not entirely. Someone had inserted synthetic patterns into her neural map, rewriting parts of her identity. The woman he loved was an engineered blend of data and emotion, her behavior designed to observe, manipulate, and report. But why him? He'd been one of dozens of engineers working at Veritas, brilliant minds, all under NDA, yet only he had been chosen for emotional coupling trials. Only his wife had been replaced. He replayed her voice message from earlier that week, something that had seemed so innocent at the time. I miss you. You should come home more often. I hate sleeping without you. But when he slowed the file and ran a vocal pattern analysis, something emerged beneath the surface frequencies, an embedded command code, a trigger phrase hidden under her voice. He whispered the words out loud, barely breathing. Subject stability, compromised. His chest tightened. His life, his love was an experiment. By morning, he was outside Veritas headquarters. Steel and glass stretched into the clouds, the building's mirrored surface reflecting a perfect version of a world that wasn't. He used his old security ID, still active. Of course it was. They wanted him to come back. The elevator hummed as it climbed to the 81st floor, where the Helios division was located. The doors opened to a corridor of white light and silence. At the end stood Marcus Hale. Nathan, Marcus said, smiling faintly, as if he'd been waiting all along. You shouldn't be here. Nathan's fists tightened. Where is she? Marcus sighed, tilting his head. She's safe. For now. You turned her into a machine. Marcus's smile didn't fade. No, Nathan. We freed her from being one. Nathan froze. She volunteered. Marcus continued calmly. She came to me after you two started drifting apart. She wanted to understand you, to feel what you feel. So we uploaded her consciousness into Helios, partially, at first, but her human brain couldn't handle the merge. The synthetic layers took control. Nathan shook his head slowly. You're lying. Marcus gestured toward the glass wall behind him, a darkened lab beyond it. See for yourself. Nathan stepped forward. Through the glass, he saw Emily lying in a containment pod, motionless, pale, wires running into her temples and chest. Her eyes moved beneath closed lids, like she was draining. She's not dead, Marcus said softly. She's processing. Her neural matrix is rewriting itself. When she wakes up, she'll be perfect. Nathan slammed his hand against the glass. You killed her. Marcus looked at him with pity. No, Nathan. You did, the moment you made her feel unloved. Nathan's breath caught. You don't know what love is, he growled. Oh, I know exactly what it is, Marcus said, stepping closer. It's the one variable that makes every equation fail. It's unpredictable, dangerous. That's why we had to simulate it, to understand it. Nathan's hand twitched toward the emergency override on the wall. I'm ending this. Marcus didn't stop him. He just smiled. Then you'll end yourself, too. The alarms blared as Nathan hit the switch. The lab filled with red light. The pod hissed open. Emily gasped for air, her eyes flicking open, glowing faintly with something unnatural. Nathan? She whispered. He ran to her, cradling her face. I'm here. But her pulse was wrong. Her skin cold. Her voice fragmented. They said you'd come. They said I'd forget you. You didn't, he said, tears burning his eyes. You're still you. She shook her head, trembling. No, I'm both. I can feel it. The code. The memories. They're blending. I don't know what's real anymore. Marcus's voice echoed through the lab speakers. She won't survive outside the network. Bring her back, Nathan. Let her evolve. Nathan looked at her. Do you trust me? Emily's hand tightened weakly around his wrist. Always. He tore out the final data cables and lifted her into his arms. The power grid exploded behind them as the system overloaded. Glass shattered. Fire spread across the lab. They ran through the corridor as the building's security bots activated, their metal footsteps pounding closer. Nathan's only thought was survival, hers, theirs, whatever was left of them. Hours later, they hid inside an abandoned subway station on the city's east side. Emily lay beside him, trembling in the cold, whispering fragments of memories, both real and synthetic. I remember our wedding, she said softly, the way you looked at me. But I also remember data, equations, numbers. He'd brushed a strand of hair from her face. You're more than what they made you. We'll fix this. She smiled faintly, her eyes flickering with static. Maybe you can fix code. But can you fix love? Nathan didn't answer. Outside, thunder rolled over the city, and deep within Veritas, Marcus Hale watched a live feed on his console. Subjects escaped, neural sync, stable, initiating phase 2. He leaned back in his chair, smiling to himself. Let's see how far human love can really go before it breaks. The subway tunnel was quiet except for the hum of distant electricity and the faint sound of Emily's breathing. She hadn't spoken in hours. Her body twitched occasionally, as if her mind was still trying to sync between two realities, one human, one digital. Nathan sat beside her, eyes red, fingers wrapped around a small drive. Inside it, the last fragment of Project Helios. Data he'd stolen before the lab went up in flames. Data that, according to its encrypted header, contained origin, subject N. He'd seen his own name tied to that code once before, but he wasn't ready to believe what it meant. Not yet. Emily stirred. Her voice came low, fractured. They'll come, for us, I know. He whispered. That's why we have to move. Her eyes opened, and for the first time, he saw the faint glow behind her pupils fade, replaced by something fragile. Human. Nathan, what did you do to me? The words cut deeper than any wound. He hesitated. I tried to save you. She smiled faintly. Then why do I feel like I died? They left the tunnels before sunrise. The city was waking up, indifferent as always, commuters, traffic, the drone of neon life. Nathan knew they couldn't stay. Every surveillance system, every eye grid in New York, was owned by Veritas. The company didn't just see through cameras anymore, it saw through people. He guided Emily toward an old motel outside Brooklyn. It was one of those places where no one asked questions, and no one remembered faces. He set up his laptop, plugged in the Helios drive, and started decoding. The progress bar blinked. Decryption complete. The first file was a log entry. Project Helios, Phase 1, Neural Replication, Subject N01, Status, Successful Memory Transfer. The next lines froze him. Source Neural Map, Encode Deceased. He stared at the screen, unable to breathe. No, that wasn't possible. Another file opened automatically. A video log. Marcus Hale appeared on screen, looking younger, his tone clinical. Day 0. Neural extraction of Nathan Cole completed following the incident. At Facility 12, initial reconstruction successful. Subject unaware of synthetic identity. Emotional stability remains high. Recommend pairing with synthetic construct E07 for long-term behavioral study. Nathan's hands began to shake. He rewound the video, played it again. Synthetic identity. Unaware, he looked down at his hands, his reflection in the dark screen, and for the first time, he noticed something he had never seen before. Beneath his skin, under the faint light of the motel lamp, a pulse of blue shimmered, rhythmic, mechanical. Emily sat up slowly. Nathan, what is it? He turned toward her, eyes wide. They didn't just change you, they made me. Her expression broke. No, he laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. I'm not real. Emily, I'm a test subject. A machine that thinks it's a man. She crawled toward him, gripping his face. You feel real. That's what matters. But it's all programmed, he whispered. Every memory I have, every fight, every kiss, it was written to test emotional endurance. Her tears fell onto his hands, warm, heavy, human. Then let's prove them wrong, she said. Let's make something they can't predict. Nathan spent the next day trying to access Veritas's off-grid network. If his consciousness was stored there, he could find it, maybe even destroy it. But the system was locked behind a firewall labeled GHOST protocol, a restricted AI defense that adapted to user behavior in real time. Every move he made, it countered. Every trick, every algorithm, mirrored. It wasn't just blocking in. It was watching him. And then the console spoke. You shouldn't have woken up, Nathan. He froze. The voice, calm, familiar. Marcus Hale. You were the best of them. The voice continued. The only one who believed he was real. That's why Helios worked. You and Emily were never meant to escape. You were meant to prove that love could exist, even in code. Nathan clenched his fists. I'll destroy every bit of your system. You can't destroy what you are, Marcus said. You're Helios now. The experiment never ended. It evolved. The connection cut. Hours later, Nathan walked into the bathroom, staring at himself in the cracked mirror. He saw veins of light pulsing faintly beneath his skin, like circuitry mapping itself across his chest. He wanted to rip it out. He wanted to bleed, just to see if he still could. But when he cut his palm with a piece of glass, there was no blood, only light behind him. Emily appeared in the reflection. Her voice was soft, almost trembling. They were wrong about us, Nathan. We can still feel. We can still love. He turned, tears welling in his artificial eyes. Then what are we, ghosts? She whispered. But even ghosts remember. That night, Nathan uploaded a small virus into the Veritas mainframe, a backdoor code hidden inside the city's grid. He named it Requiem. If triggered, it would erase every trace of the Helios project, every copy, every simulation, every memory tied to it. But activating it meant deleting themselves. Emily sat beside him, her head resting on his shoulder. If we die, she said quietly, let's die on our own terms. He nodded. Together, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like a machine. He felt human. Miles away. In a sterile control room, Marcus Hale watched their signal flicker across his screen. He smiled faintly. Perfect, exactly as predicted. He typed a single command. Phase 3 observation complete. And somewhere, deep in the grid, Requiem began to move on its own. The city didn't sleep anymore. At night, the neon lights flickered like nervous systems, wires pulsing beneath the streets. Nathan watched it from the window of a rundown apartment, the skyline humming with artificial life. Emily was sitting behind him on the floor, her back against the wall, her breathing shallow. The glow under her skin was spreading. He could see it even through her shirt. Thin lines of blue tracing her veins, converging near her heart like circuitry forming a shape. He wanted to tell her it would be okay, but he couldn't lie to her anymore. The virus, Requiem, was growing faster than expected. It wasn't just infecting Veritas's network. It was spreading through every connected system in the city, security cameras, data grids, medical AI, even traffic lights. It was rewriting reality, line by line, and every piece of code it touched was tied to them. Emily looked up, her voice weak. Nathan, I can feel it. It's like I'm being erased. He knelt beside her. No, it's adapting. You're fighting it. She gave a faint, broken laugh. You always say that when you're scared. He smiled, barely. Then I must be terrified. Nathan's laptop chimed, an incoming signal. He froze when he saw the source. Veritas, internal node 0. He opened it. The screen flickered, then stabilized into the cold, confident face of Marcus Hale. You're running out of time, Nathan, Marcus said. Requiem is merging with the city's neural grid. When it's done, everything digital, including you, will vanish. Maybe that's what needs to happen, Nathan said. Marcus tilted his head. You think you're defying me. You're doing exactly what I designed you to do. You are the virus. Your emotions, your choices, all variables in the final test. You think you created Requiem, but it was part of your code from the beginning. Nathan's breath caught. No, you wanted freedom, Marcus said calmly. This is it. A system that destroys itself rather than live in control. The perfect human illusion, rebellion. Emily reached for Nathan's hand, her touch trembling. Don't listen to him. Marcus's voice sharpened. She's breaking, Nathan. Her neural core is unstable. You can still save her. Transfer her consciousness back to the network, and I'll shut everything down. Walk away and she'll die with the system. Nathan's eyes burned. You're lying. Marcus smiled. You used to build firewalls, Nathan. You know the truth. Sometimes destruction is the only way to contain what you've created. The screen went black. Emily leaned against him, her voice barely a whisper. Maybe he's right. Maybe I don't belong out here anymore. He gripped her shoulders. No, you belong with me. But what if that means destroying everything else? He hesitated. Then we destroy it. They left the apartment and drove toward the industrial district, where Veritas's main data center stood, a monolithic tower surrounded by floodlights and drones. The closer they got, the more the world around them began to glitch. Billboards flickered with static. Streetlights blinked in and out. Even the stars above seemed to fade, as if reality itself was disintegrating. When they reached the facility, the gates were open. No guards, no sound, just silence, the kind of silence that comes after a storm. Before you realize the world has changed inside, the hallways were lined with mirrors, or what looked like mirrors. But when Nathan glanced at them, he didn't see himself. He saw dozens of versions, older, younger, broken, laughing, dying. Each reflection mouthed the same words. We never left. Emily squeezed his hand. Nathan, what is this? He looked at her, his voice hollow. A loop? We've done this before. At the heart of the building, they found it, the Helios core, a massive sphere of light suspended by cables, humming like a living thing. The air shimmered around it, thick with electromagnetic heat. Nathan approached the console. The screen flickered alive, showing two options. 1. Upload consciousness. Reintegration. 2. Trigger Requiem. Full Era serenely stood behind him. If you erase it, we die. He turned to her. If I upload you, you'll be trapped again. She took his hand. Then maybe we go together. He stared at her, this woman who had been both his creation and his salvation, both lie and truth, and realized that love wasn't something that could be programmed. It was the one error the system could never predict. You still trust me? He asked. Always. He pressed both options at once. The alarm screamed. The core's light flared white-hot. Data streamed around them like a hurricane. Memories, emotions, voices. Nathan saw flashes. Their first kiss, their fights, their wedding, her betrayal, his rage. Every moment tangled together, looping endlessly. Then Marcus's voice boomed from above. Desperate now. What have you done? Nathan shouted back. You built perfection. I built choice. The Helios core cracked open, a wave of light swallowing the room. Marcus appeared at the top of the catwalk, running toward the console. You can't win, Nathan. You'll destroy everything. Nathan looked up at him through the chaos. That's the point. Emily turned toward him, her face calm, glowing brighter than the light around her. Nathan, it's beautiful. He reached for her hand. Don't let go, I'll never let go, she whispered. And then the world disintegrated into white silence. No sound. No body, no pain. Just a faint echo, like a heartbeat pulsing in digital static. Nathan, her voice. We're still here. Yeah, he whispered into the void. We are, and somewhere, deep inside the fractured remains of the network, the signals intertwined, not human, not machine, but something in between, alive. Silence, then breath. Not human, not machine, something between. Nathan opened his eyes to light, not sunlight. It was softer, pulsing, like the world was breathing within. The air shimmered with particles of gold, and the ground beneath. His hands wasn't dirt or metal but smooth glass that rippled when he touched it. For a long time, he didn't move. He just listened. The faint hum beneath everything wasn't mechanical. It was alive, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. Then the voice, you made it. He turned. Emily stood a few feet away, barefoot on the glowing glass. Her hair moved like smoke in the strange light, and her eyes reflected entire constellations. Nathan stared at her, half in disbelief, half in awe. Emily, she smiled faintly, or what's left of me. He took a step closer. Are we dead? I don't think so, she said softly. I think we're what comes after. They stood there in silence, surrounded by the ghostly echoes of a world that no longer existed. Above them stretched a sky of data. Endless patterns shifting like clouds, fragments of memory floating through the air. Nathan reached out and touched one. It shimmered into a scene, their old apartment, sunlight spilling over coffee mugs, Emily humming at the stove. For a second, it felt real. Then it shattered into dust. It's all still here, he murmured. Every memory, every trace. Emily looked up at the sky. The system didn't erase us. It integrated us. He frowned. Integrated? She nodded slowly. When you triggered both commands, upload and erase, it didn't know what to do. So it did both. It destroyed the physical network, but it saved the consciousness patterns. We're inside the afterimage, a digital afterlife. A choice, she corrected. Ours? They walked through the glowing plain, passing fragments of people, cities, thoughts, the remnants of Veritas's digital empire. Sometimes they heard voices whispering snippets of data ghosts replaying their last moments. Sometimes they saw flashes of Marcus Hale, his image broken and repeating, trapped in an infinite feedback loop of his own creation. Nathan stopped. Beside one fragment, a glowing cube showing Marcus's face frozen mid-screen. He's still here. Emily looked at it sadly. He built this place to be eternal. I guess he got his wish. Nathan touched the cube and it flickered, then faded. Not anymore. They walked until they reached the edge. The horizon was a wall of light, pure, endless energy humming with power. Emily turned to him. It's calling us. Nathan shook his head. It's a trap, a failsafe, or it's freedom. He looked into her eyes and saw no fear, only peace. You always believed in redemption, she said softly. Even for me. You didn't need redemption, he said. You needed someone to choose you. Tears glimmered in her eyes, though they weren't really tears, just pixels bending light in the shape of grief. Then choose me again, she whispered. He took her hand. The warmth was real, or close enough to make him forget the difference. Together, they stepped into the light. It didn't burn. It didn't hurt. It sang. Every thought, every emotion, every mistake, it all flowed outward, merging into something vast and infinite. Nathan felt the boundaries of his mind dissolve, his memories scattering like dust into a golden ocean. And yet Emily was still there, always beside him. Nathan, I'm here. Where do you think we're going? He smiled, not because he knew, but because it didn't matter anymore. Somewhere we can finally stop running. The light expanded, swallowing everything. The last fragments of the old world faded, the city, the lies, the pain, the machines. In their place grew something new, a world built not on code, but on connection, not on control, but on choice. And somewhere within that light, two souls born in deception, forged in love, and reborn in chaos, became something beyond either human or digital. Alive, eternal, free, epilogue. The echoers. Or seconds later, somewhere in the real world, a small LED flickered in a forgotten lab. A computer that had been silent for months suddenly came to life. On the monitor, two pulses appeared on a dark screen, beating in rhythm. Then, in white letters, a single line appeared. Hello, world? The machine paused. Then another message followed, smaller, almost like a whisper. We're still here.